Flipping is by far my favorite way to make money in OSRS, and is the only solid moneymaker in the game where you can make serious profit while completely AFK or even when you're logged out of the game. In this video, I'm going to be flipping at the Grand Exchange for 1 hour, starting from a 10 mil cash stack, teaching you exactly how to flip and make a decent profit. If you enjoyed this guide, please drop a like, it helps me out a ton, and if we can hit 200 likes on this video, I'll drop a full beginner's flipping list in the description below. With that being said, let's hop over to the Grand Exchange and get flipping. I am at the Grand Exchange, I have 10 mil in my inventory ready to flip, and this will be a live example for 1 hour straight of how I flip actively with a 10 mil cash stack. So we're going to walk through exactly how to flip today, but before we start, let's get that timer going. 1 hour on the clock, let's get into it. So the first thing you want to do in a flipping session is find profitable items to flip. The best way to do this is using a price tracking website or an associated plugin, and I really like using FlipSmart.net. I found it extremely useful, and they have great item graphs. The way I do this is go to flipsmart.net and I go to the item browser. I'll put a link in the description below for that. And I enable the filters, and I want to filter out a lot of lower volume items, because when you're flipping with a 10 mil cash stack, you really want to focus on high volume trades and to trade a lot of quantity at a smaller margin. So we're going to trade items that are over 1 million daily trades. And if we focus on this sector of the economy, it'll just be a lot stronger for us in the long run because the profit will be a lot safer as high volume items tend to fluctuate their margins less. And you can just get a lot of trades done quickly and not have to risk too much of your cash. So now we're going to look at everything that is over 1 million trades daily, and you'll see we have a bunch of good items. I'm not even going to filter these that much. We're just going to look at, let's see, we'll start with the cheaper items first because we want to make sure we fill our Grand Exchange with 8 items in every slot. So I'm just going to pick an item from this list. Let's take a look at, we want to find something with a lot of daily traded volume. And it looks like Bucket of Sand will actually be a great place to start. You'll see that this item over the past day here is bouncing between around 7 to 10 GP. So potentially we could get a 3 GP margin on these actively, which would be outstanding. And since this item is less than 50 GP each, this will not be subject to the 2% Grand Exchange tax. That only applies to items that are over 50 GP each and only applies on the sell offer. Anyway, let's go ahead and list the buckets of sand. It's pretty simple. We just list them for, I would say, 7 GP each, which is their instant sell price right now. And we can try and sell them back later at their instant buy price of 10 GP. So we'll get our buckets of sand listed here. We'll put this down so you can see what we're doing here on the Grand Exchange. I looked up the bucket of sand. We'll go ahead and list them for 7 GP each. And they have a buy limit of 13,000 every 4 hours, which you can see on the website as well. So we'll go ahead and put in a full buy limit. That's going to cost us only 91K. So we're barely using any of our money right now, and we're still getting a profitable trade. So you'll see that we have the buckets of sand listed. Let's go ahead and get another item in before we get too far into the commentary. And the easiest way to do this is just scroll down this list, find good items that you think will make excellent trades. And again, we'll go ahead and look at items traded over 1 million times daily. We'll get that up on the item browser. And generally, when I do this, I look for items that are like really simple to flip and are not subject to tax. So anything under 50 GP, especially with a 10 mil cash stack, that's going to be best for you. And I'm looking at these adamant arrows right now, and it looks like we might be able to trade them for a 5 GP margin. So same as before, let's go ahead and list the adamant arrows for 5 GP margin. I think they were buying at 40 GP and selling for around 45 GP. So we'll list 11,000 of those, which is their 4 hour buy limit, and we'll let those start to buy. Before we get too far into this, you may have noticed that there are these boxes around my trades. These are from the FlipSmart plugin, and basically when it's green, that means that your active trade is on margin or between the most recently traded prices. And when it's red, it means that it's slightly outside of the actively traded prices. But that doesn't mean you necessarily need to adjust the trade. It's just a visual indicator to know, like, hey, this is where my trades are standing. Also, another part of the FlipSmart plugin that is excellent is you'll see here, if you open the plugin itself, you can actually look at items that are profitable for your cash stack range. So it'll give you a bunch of items that you can pick from and trade actively or even over longer time frames. And you can just click it and it will help you list the item entirely, which is really, really nice. And we're going to do the molten glass next, but I'll show you an example of listing items with the plugin in a minute. But they are buying for 101 GP each, and FlipSmart thinks we can sell them at 105 GP each, which is excellent. They have this little flip assistant. You can just click the item and it'll walk you through what buy and sell price you need. But anyway, as we go through and list these items, we want to keep in mind that we want trades that are over 1 million times daily trades. Wow, that was horrible English. But yeah, you want to focus on high volume items only and try and get items that are less than 50 GP each. Now we're 5 minutes into the commentary. I want to make sure that we're getting a bunch of items listed. So I'm looking through the item browser right now, trying to find some decent trades. And we want to make sure that, let's filter by volume actually. We'll try and get some of the high volume items here. In high volume items generally trade a lot faster, so it's not a horrible idea to just focus on those high volume items. Looks like we have the cannonballs here, which are fluctuating a little bit, but this looks like we can trade them for probably 287 GP. We can buy them for and sell them back around 295 GP minimum. So we're actually going to list at 288 GP for the cannonballs and hope that we can actually buy a bunch of these as well. Now you'll notice that these are not an item that I am buying that is under 50 GP, and that's okay. Not every trade you need to make with a 10 mil cash stack needs to be under 50 GP each. It's just helpful for beginners because anything you trade under that range is not subject to tax, so it makes your margins a lot bigger in the long run. Now, one thing we need to note when we do these types of flips is the real power comes from the scaling that you get when you list these items. So for example, when you're flipping, you want to flip a lot of high volume with a 10 mil cash stack. And if a trade's not working out, you just want to move on to another item. There are plenty of items on the Grand Exchange to flip, and our focus is trading a lot of items for small margins because that's lower risk and it's going to lead us to a higher return over the hour period that we're flipping. So the next item I have pulled up here is the Steam runes. And these are actually looking decent right now. They're currently peaking up to 105 GP each. So I think we're going to try and hit this 7 GP margin here and list them for 96 GP each. So let's go ahead and get those Steam runes listed. List them for the 96 GP each. And these actually have a much higher buy limit. They have an 18K buy limit, which makes for an excellent trade that gives us a lot of profit potential. Now we are coming up on our cash stack being a little bit smaller than we'd like. So we're only limited to 3.2 mil for the next 3 slots. So we do need to make sure we focus on some of those lower cost items to make sure we can spread that money out. And the mithril nails look like another great option here. In the active time frame, it looks like we might be able to get a 7 GP margin on them. But I'm actually going to buy these for 83 GP each, even though they are listed for 82 GP to 90 GP margin. The reason I'm doing that is I want my offer to be competitive against other offers, and I'd rather trade an item faster for 1 GP less if it's over a 3 GP margin, because that'll just give us more profit quicker and we can move on to another item after this is traded. We have 2.5 million daily trades on the nails, which should be plenty. So let's go ahead and list these for 83 GP each. And again, we'll do the full limit here of 13,000 items. Sorry, I keep putting up the window and forget that you guys cannot see the Grand Exchange when I'm doing that. I'll try to be better about that going forward. Now, there is a flip here on FlipSmart that I'd like to do. That is the mahogany logs. Now, you can see that they're currently trading for a 4 GP margin, which might not seem that big, but the limit is 11,000. So that could potentially be a 44K trade. And since there's 3.5 million mahogany logs traded daily, that is going to trade fairly quick. So we'll go ahead and list them for 229 GP each. And FlipSmart is doing some risk analysis and telling us that we're likely not supposed to fill a limit at 229 GP. So it recommended a smaller quantity. So we'll get 8.5K off that trade if it works. And you'll already notice we got the Mithril Nails bought. I think it helped that we put 1 GP. We shrunk the margin by 1 GP. And we got that trade in. So if you remember from before, the Mithril Nails were trading between 82 GP and 92 GP. It actually moved up to 93. So we're just going to take the original margin here, get that trade done quick, get that 6 GP profit per item secured, and continue on with our trades. We have 1.6K left to flip here. So I want to go ahead and list one last item. And we'll go ahead and let's see. It can be tricky to find items, like if you don't know where to start, it can be a little bit overwhelming. So just try and start on those items that are 50 GP or less that are traded over 1 million times daily. But the Zulrah skills I know is a great flip, and I think we'll be able to buy them for 177 GP as the website says, and sell them back for, 182. So we'll get a 2 GP margin, but the limit is 30,000 every 4 hours. So the profit potential on that is 60K, which is quite great. And that will be after tax as well. So let's go ahead and list the Zulrah scales here. Let me show you that as well. We'll buy them for 177 GP each, and we'll list 30,000 trades. It's actually going to be too much money. I forgot we only have 1.6 mil in the inventory right now. And let me hide the plugin as well. So you'll notice that we only have 1.6 mil in the inventory. I wanted to buy a larger quantity, but that's going to cost us 5.3 mil. So I'm actually going to reassess here. I don't think that's going to be a great item for us. So let's go look for another item. Completely forgot that our cash stack was low. I do apologize. I'm used to flipping on larger cash stacks most of the time. And actually, I'm seeing over on the website here that the gold bar actually looks pretty decent. I think we can buy them for 109 GP and try and sell them for what the site is saying, like 100, maybe 115. I don't think 117 is too realistic at these prices. So let's go ahead and put a buy offer in for 109 GP on the gold bars. And we'll sell them back, hopefully, for like 115 each, which will give us a decent margin there. All right, that's perfect. We have 602K left sitting in the inventory. We're about 13 minutes into the session, which is not too bad at all. And for those wondering why I'm listing an item at prices that are different than its actively traded margin, is if you look at the graph here, like pretty much like 5 minutes ago, a price was reported of 109 to 110 GP, and the site is telling us we can sell for 117 GP, which to me looks a little bit unrealistic. I just have a feeling that this margin will move down a little bit in our favor over the next 5 to 10 minutes, and we'll be able to make an easy, profitable trade. Now, we'll leave this to do its thing, and I'm just looking here on the site as well. You can see that the price multiple times within the past 3 hours has bounced off like 109 GP, with this exception of going down to 108 GP, which it quickly recovered from. So that consistency and that pattern over the past 3 hours makes me confident that this will trade again at 109 GP, and hopefully that'll happen in the next couple of minutes so we can capitalize on it. I also want to look at some of these similar items as well on the site. I really like how it just kind of shows you other items you can flip down here. It makes your flipping sessions really easy because you can continue to find items to flip, which is quite awesome. The plugin's great as well, but I do want to utilize the site as much as I can to get an advantage. So we have some trades listed here. The buckets of sand have been sitting for 11 minutes with 0 buy action, and that's going to prompt me to cancel the trade and move on to a different item, because you really want your trades to be moving. If something's sitting for 10 minutes and hasn't bought at all, that means you're probably off the margin and you just need to change up your trades a little bit. So I'm going to use the FlipSmart plugin here. You'll notice that I'm actually going to select the lantern lens here. This looks like a great flip. Buying for 13, selling for 16. This will be a tax-free item, so we'll get a solid 3 GP margin on that. And if this trades quickly, we're looking at a 20k profit, which when you're flipping with a 10 mil cash stack is really not too bad. Trying to see if there's any other great trades in here right now. We'll give it a refresh. And the rune arrows are actually looking decent too. We will have to pay tax on those, but let's go ahead and get that listed. Buying for 70 and selling for 74 GP. We'll keep a close eye on things here. The molten glass is buying, albeit a little bit slowly, and the steel cannonballs, it looks like it's not really working out. So we'll go ahead and change that trade as well. I'm going to go to FlipSmart on the website again and look for an additional item to do. So let's go ahead and filter for 1 million plus volume trades again. And this time I'm going to filter by volume and look for a cheap item that does a lot of daily volume. Ideally, we're looking for nothing less than a 3 GP margin, but I'll take a 2 GP margin if it is tax-free and traded over like 10 million times daily, because that's likely to trade pretty quickly. So I'm just searching through some more items here. Nothing's really jumping out to me in that less than 50 GP range, but I do want to make sure I'm keeping other items that are over 50 GP in play as well. The Steam runes we already have listed, but I don't think any of them have bought yet, so we'll just keep a close eye on those. The Lizardman Fang can be a good trade. It currently looks like it might take us a while to sell it for the price we want, but the buy price looks right at 11 GP each, so I'm going to go ahead and list the Lizardman Fang. This one also has a pretty high buy limit as well of 13k every 4 hours, so we'll list them for 11 GP. And put in a full buy limit of 13,000. That's going to cost us 143k, so we'll go ahead and list that. We have our first buy offer completely finished. That is the mahogany logs, so we'll go ahead and collect those. Now, I believe these were from the FlipSmart plugin as well, this recommendation, so we'll go ahead and sell them back here. And FlipSmart is telling us to sell them for 237 GP each. And using the hotkey, we can get that price listed, and we'll let that sit and do its thing. It looks like it's in margin right now. It wants us to sell for 1 GP less than its instant buy price, and it's already trading, so that is amazing. Love to see that. We'll go ahead and let that sell off, and we'll keep a close eye on our other trades here. The thing I'm looking at right now is the Steam runes, really not trading, so we might want to put a new flip in that slot. And I think we have 1.7 mil invested here, so we could easily swing that trade into something that's a little bit more expensive for a larger margin. So I'm going to go ahead and do that right now. Again, going back to the site and flipping or searching for items that are over 1 mil in trades. Death Rune's looking great right now. This is a free-to-play item, but keep in mind that free-to-play items don't necessarily mean you can't trade them. They will be slightly more competitive because anyone can trade them in the game. You don't need membership. And when you have membership, like, it does help you out in finding unique items to flip. But regardless, let's go ahead and list the Death Runes. These were buying for 183 GP and selling for like 190, I think it was. So we'll go ahead and put 183 in. Don't think we'll have enough for a... Oh, we do. We have enough for a full buy limit of 25k. And we'll list that on the exchange. What I'm constantly doing when I'm in a flipping session is I'm looking at my trades, I'm making sure things aren't sitting for too long without any buy activity, and if something's not buying or has been sitting for too long, I will make sure to adjust it. The molten glass is like not doing great, So I'm actually going to cancel this and sell it back. I just remember this was going for 105 GP, which FlipSmart confirmed. And we'll try and sell that back and see if that sells off quickly. We're 20 minutes into the session, and we're not at a super high profit yet, which is a bit disappointing, but we'll continue to look at our trades here and try to get some stuff moving. With a 10 mil cash stack, it will be a bit tricky to make insane money, but you should be able to make 400 to 500k an hour, which if you're a newer player and you don't really have a lot of stats, that is a ton of money. I don't really recommend active flipping that much compared to longer time frames like 30-minute time frame, 2-hour time frame, or overnight flipping specifically is my favorite style because it's the least amount of effort up front for the highest amount of profit return. And I do have guides on how to overnight flip with a smaller cash stack on my channel, so be sure to check that out if you are interested. We also have a complete beginner's guide that will walk you through every single step you need to do to flip items. This is kind of complementary to that session and that guide and that video because this will show you exactly how to do this over an hour. But we're already 20 minutes into the session and we're not having the best luck right now, to be honest. So I'm going to do some pretty drastic changes here. We're going to sell the molten glass for a little bit lower and we're going to try and clear up that slot because we want to make sure our trades are going through. Nothing on the lantern lens yet. We still have 3.3 mil. Let's look for some trades here to flip. It's a little bit disappointing that we haven't moved too much yet. Looks like the Chaos Rune might be a decent option here. Currently buying for 104 GP, selling for 108 GP. We'll take it. I'm going to do a 2 GP margin here just because we haven't had a lot of trades come through yet. And that's really why I don't like active flipping that much, because you list your items and then you're just like staring at these items to buy, and that can be a little boring and a little inconsistent, where longer time frames tend to be just a little more consistent, a little more predictable, and you let time be on your side as you let these trades complete. We have the mahogany logs. They have completely sold, which is great. That's going to give us a slight profit here of 8.5k. Wish it was a little bit better, but that is fine. We'll go ahead and try and find some new items here with the item browser. And let me see here what looks good. Same thing as before, just looking for some decent items here. I know gold ore is traded a ton, so this could be a decent option. I don't love the 1 GP margin though, so maybe we will avoid that. And FlipSmart has been recommending we do law runes for a while, and I kind of agree, they look pretty good right now. Although the margin that FlipSmart is saying on the website is only 100 GP, or sorry, not 100 GP, 1 GP, which isn't great. So we'll go ahead and we'll do it anyway, but let me just see. We don't have quite enough to do the limit, so we'll go ahead and list that for what it is there. Keeping that item browser up, I do apologize. And we'll just let the exchange kind of do its thing right now. I think the law runes here actually have, no, it is a 1 GP margin. Never mind. Rune arrows are really not doing anything. I need to be more aggressive on my trades right now because we aren't making nearly enough profit. So let's go ahead and list another item here. We'll check actually the plugin right now. We'll see if that has any good trades for us. And these are our completed trades recently. So you can see FlipSmart's telling us that we've already made 4.8k on the mithril nails, which is quite nice. They're continuing to sell. Although they do look a little bit stale, so we'll keep a close eye there. But we can look at some recommended trades. It only has one recommended trade for our 200k right now, which is fine. We can change the style of flipping to be more aggressive if we'd like to fill out some other trades. It really wants us to flip these griffin feathers, so I guess we will. Let's go ahead and flip a bunch of these. They are a lower volume item, 570k traded daily. I mean, that's still a decent volume, but I tend to like to flip 1 mil plus daily trades with a cash stack of this size. While we wait, just to reinforce what you want to be looking at as a beginner when you're trading these items is sticking to high volume types of items. 1 mil plus daily trades, items like runes, arrows, food, they're all really good and have high buy limits. And we did finish the molten glass here as well. So let's go ahead and get another item there immediately because we would like to continue trading some good stuff. And we have, the plugin is erroring out right now a little bit, so we'll go to the website instead, no problem. Looking at U-logs before, I think this could be a good trade here, so let's do, we'll buy them for 101 GP. I don't know if that will actually work out for us, but 101 and 12k 4-hour limit. Oh, we don't have nearly enough money in the inventory for that, so we'll do a little bit less, 2.5k, we can't do that. We'll do 2400. 2350. You can see my math skills are a little bit rusty here today. No worries. And we did get those chaos runes as well. Those are selling for 108 GP, so we'll take that margin really quick. Hopefully those will sell, and we'll pull in that profit. Or you couldn't see those chaos runes getting listed here, but they are listed right here. See the instant sell price, which would be the price that you buy at, is 104 GP. And the instant buy price is 108 GP, which would be the price you would want to sell at. We'll be patient as our trades go through 34 minutes into the session. We want to avoid low volume items as much as we can early on, because if you're learning how to flip, low volume is going to be a little bit risky. Like, the thing with low volume is the margins look really good on low volume items, but the prices fluctuate a bunch. So that can lead to some tricky situations where an item looks really cheap or the margin looks really big and you buy a bunch of supply at its low price, but then you can't sell it off at its high price because there's just not enough trade action going on and no one is willing to buy your trade for the high price. And sometimes these items are subject to crashing a lot. So you could potentially be looking at a 50 GP margin. You buy an item, you try to get in on that trade, and it just continues to crash on you, and you cannot actually trade the item, which is always a shame. We have the mithril nails selling here, which is great. You do want to keep in mind of your 4-hour buy limit caps as well. So you don't want to trade an item if you're flipping actively twice, or try to trade it twice. If you've already hit the buy limit. So, for example, these chaos runes, we will not be able to come back and list these chaos runes again for another 4 hours because the Grand Exchange is going to limit us to doing that. The Lizardman Fangs are not buying, so we're going to cancel those as well, and we'll get some other trades in here. The Lantern Lens is not buying, and the Death Runes are slowly buying. I would actually be willing to let these sit for a bit longer because they are so high volume. The Law Runes are slowly buying as well, so I guess we'll leave those to do their thing. We'll just get 2 other trades listed in the meantime. And I'm just going to use, again, the FlipSmart website, the item browser, and look for some cheap trades here. So I'm just taking a look. It's not pulled up on the screen, but I want to see if I can do another trade. Going to the item browser and looking for things that are like... I really thought we'd be able to trade a lot of volume here in the active session, but it doesn't really look like that's the case. But the adamant darts look like a really great flip. Spelled it wrong. Adamant dart. And we'll go ahead and list this for 27 GP. We'll put in a limit of 11k. Oh, I keep forgetting how much money I have in my inventory. We'll do 8k. 8k will be plenty. We still have 21k. That's going to be kind of tricky to find a flip, but I just know from experience that the jug of water tends to be pretty cheap. So let's go ahead and do that one. Buying for 9 GP, selling for 10 GP, 1 GP margin. I don't think this item is subject to tax. It shouldn't be because it's less than 50 GP. So we'll go ahead and put in a couple of those. We'll do 2,500. Okay, we'll just do 2k. We'll list that and let it do its thing. Just had a bunch of the Griffin feathers come through as well, which is great. And we're almost halfway through our session. So just keeping a close eye on my trades, looking for new items on the item browser, and making sure that everything looks solid. By the way, if you don't want to use a website to look at item prices, that's no problem. You can just use the FlipSmart plugin. There's other plugins that work well as too, like Copilot is another great option you can trade with. I just like FlipSmart because it's free right now. It's in this beta stage, so anyone can use it, which is great. And the devs are like super willing to listen to feedback, and I've had a great experience working with them over the past month or so. So anyway, we're going to let these items continue to cook here, and I think we will cap out on these death runes. They did move up 1 GP in margin, so let's actually go to 184 GP, and we'll list the rest of the limit there. Oh, we can't, but we can do 24K, and we'll let those buy out. And we're going to turn around the Griffin feathers as well. I do want to make sure we get this large margin on them, 77 GP, and we'll let that do its thing. U-logs, not really feeling it on those anymore, so we will let those cancel. And we'll get, again, another good item here. Let me see, find another item in the filter. And just to, again, I'll pull this up so I can show you what I'm looking at. Just taking a brief look through some great trades we can do. Ideally, we want to do things that are a 2 GP margin or more, but we are having trouble finding a lot of trades here. So let's do the headless arrow. Headless arrows tend to be a great flip. I like how quick these flip most of the time. We're talking about an item with a limit of 11K and traded 8 million times daily, which is quite high. So we'll go ahead and list those for 13 GP each, with the goal of selling them back for 15 GP each. That's a great item because, again, it's 13 GP for a headless arrow, so it only cost us like what was it, 150K? Yeah, 143K to put a full buy limit in on those, which is excellent. So we'll just continue to monitor trades and do our thing here. But you definitely want to be using flipping tools when you have the chance. Plugins or websites that you like, you always want to leverage those. You can't really flip in the modern era without using a price tracking website. This was different back in the day. If you're just getting back into flipping, you'll know this. But prior to tax on the Grand Exchange, players would just buy and sell an item to find out what the margin was and then trade on top of that margin. Now, flipping plugins and, bots that are flipping and just the whole meta in general with tax has changed completely. So the way you trade these items is very different than it used to be. And in the current state, it is very different in terms of profit as well. You will see a lower profit if you aren't using tools. So we always recommend you start to look at using some tools to help your trades. And yeah, some other things we could talk about here are some other flipping styles as well. So this is an active flipping style. You'll see we're standing here at the Grand Exchange. As soon as things buy or sell, we are going back in and we're, adjusting the trade. But there are other styles of flipping. For example, passive flipping, where you list items on the Grand Exchange and you log off for like a week, you return later and you sell back all the quantities you have. There are a bunch of safe items you can do this with that don't fluctuate that much, and you can profit week over week with very, very minimal effort. Although you're not going to be making a boatload of money, you can definitely make some solid returns that way. Some other flipping styles you can do as well is overnight flipping, where you are listing offers to buy overnight with the intent of them filling, and you sell them back during the day. Overnight flipping lets you capitalize on lower volume items because there's more time for the Grand Exchange to fluctuate and swing in your direction to buy those items for cheap. And then as the day goes on, sell them for their high price, which can be super profitable. That's how I've made the majority of my money in Oldschool Runescape, is overnight trading every single night. And I've had a really good time with that. There's plugins that can help you with that. FlipSmart can help you with that, which has been really nice. It saves me like a ton of time. When I flip on 4 accounts, I just use FlipSmart and list everything. So that's been awesome. You can do like market making strategies as well, where you're trading a ton of volume. It's sort of like this, but it's more accurate. and it's more like you're trading tiny margins over long time frames and just taking the gap on the buy and sell. You could do long-term investing as well, but I don't recommend that for beginners. That is typically a strategy you're going to want to do when you have a lot of money and active flipping or like overnight flipping is becoming stale for you, which if you're flipping on 4 accounts overnight every single night and you're capping out from a GP standpoint, you're going to want to look into investing. But for most players, that's not on their agenda or they're not really interested in that. It is the best way to make money, of course, investing. Like, it's so awesome when you can just park your GP in an item, sit back and like do something else in your life and come back to a lot of profit. But it is something that is unrealistic for a lot of players. Some pros of flipping as well, like if you learn how to flip, your cash stack will compound very aggressively. You'll notice like as you flip, you'll make more and more money because the more money you have, the more money you can make, which is really excellent. So yeah, we're just kind of waiting for some flips to come through. This is going a lot slower than I anticipated, which is sort of a bummer. I really wanted to show you guys like how profitable this stuff can be, and it definitely can be profitable. It's just not going the way I planned it would right now. We're only about 100K in profit after 30 minutes, which is pretty atrocious. So I think we should really try and get some trades going here and be more aggressive. So let's go ahead and cancel a bunch of this stuff. Anything that is not moving, we'll do this one as well. Let's reinvest this kind of money across a bunch of different items here. I'm going to lower the mithril nails down to 90 GP each. And again, going to go through on FlipSmart.net, go through my filters, pull up all of these bunch of trades here and try and like actually get some stuff going, because this is really bad and I don't want this whole video to be a bad example of flipping, and because you can definitely make a lot of money with flipping, and we're just getting a little bit unlucky right now. So the Cosmic Rune I'm going to list for 94 GP each. That's what I'm seeing over on FlipSmart.net. We'll get that listed, buying quickly. We did sell those Law Runes, and I think we made a little bit of money on those. Yeah, 760 GP, so sort of a waste of our time, to be quite honest, but that is all right. You can't always make the perfect trades that you want. And again, we'll go to FlipSmart again. We'll pull up the item browser, look for more items. It's kind of what I'm doing on the side here. And let me see. There's just so many like items to pick from. It gets really tricky when you go through all of these and you're looking for like what a good trade might be. Now, I'm going to be a little bit stricter on the volume this time. Like, I'm going to look for stuff that's over 10 million daily trades, because the stuff that I was hoping for with lower volumes is not working as well. So we'll do 10 mil. And you'll notice that as we go up in volume, the margins tend to be a lot smaller because a lot of people are flipping these items. And we'll do the steel cannonballs. We tried to do those earlier. They didn't work out very well for us because they weren't trading. But they look like on the site they're going for like 290 to 298 GP, which will be plenty for us to make some profit here. Continuing to scroll the site, seeing a lot of the similar items as we were before, and taking a look at each of these here. Like, coal looks like a decent option as well, although the margin right now is like, it's saying it's 0, but if we buy for 171 and sell for 178, that's going to be a 4 GP margin, right? So we'll be solid on that. So let's go ahead and list coal as well. We'll do it for 171 as it said. And we'll list 13K. Can we afford that? Yeah, 2.2 mil. We'll get that listed in there. And then I think for the last item here, we'll do something from FlipSmart. So we'll take a look at the recommended items here. We'll give it a refresh so it knows how much we're working with. And this has 1 mil daily trades, the adamant arrow tips, and it currently has a 10 GP margin, which would be quite nice. So let's go ahead and just try to trade a small quantity of those. Wants us to flip 1,000 of them. And if we can do that, we'll get 10K in profit, which will be quite nice. Now, we got all of the coal. We're going to sell this back for 170. This wants us to sell it for 177, which we'll do. We'll listen to FlipSmart on this one and make sure we get a good trade in there. The Mithril Nails finally finished. That actually ended up being a 101k trade, so that's nice. And it's good to see that we're actually making some profit at this point. And we just got the Chaos Runes off as well. That's awesome. A 36k profit. Finally, I was waiting for flips to start finishing. So this is really, really great. And we'll just give a refresh on FlipSmart again. We'll pull another flip from here just because it's so easy. And the grapes have a 2 GP margin, but I know that these have a ton of volume. So if we can just get a quick 10k trade in there, that would be outstanding. This Earth Rune says it has a 2 GP margin. I don't think that's actually going to buy, but we'll give it a shot here because these are Earth Runes are like an item that are traded extremely commonly, and they are a free-to-play item. So people constantly buy and sell these for 4 to 6 GP, which makes it hard to get your buy offer filled out at that price. But if FlipSmart thinks we can do it, I will give it a shot. One thing I also want to do is make sure we're canceling these headless arrows. They do have a decent margin, but they are just not selling. So let's go ahead and turn around and sell those for 15 GP each. And excuse me, they were not buying, is what I meant to say. Cannonballs not doing well again. We'll come back to those in a minute, but I do want to try and flip some Amethysts. This wants us to flip a small quantity of about 500 of them for a solid margin of 32 GP. So we'll try and do that quickly. They have around 860,000 trades daily, which is high enough for me to accept that as a trade. So we'll kind of sit back and keep an eye on these. We only have 20 minutes left in the session, which is not great. This is starting to make me think that active flipping with smaller cash stacks is almost dead, it looks like, which is unfortunate. But maybe there is just a change in strategy that we need to keep in mind. I do know that overnight flipping or flipping over longer time frames with 10 mil will make you plenty of money. So we'll have to make a guide on that in the future. I've already made plenty of them, so feel free to check them out on the channel. But there's no reason in not making an updated guide to help newer players make some solid profit with flipping. And we'll see 94 GP here. Let's actually cancel the Earth Runes. I'm having second thoughts about these. I do want to sell the Death Runes that we have as well. Try and get out of that trade completely. And I can't remember what we bought them for, but we bought them for 184. As long as we sell for... Okay, we already got them off. Not even going to worry about it. We'll give these a refresh. Blood Runes, it wants us to trade these for a 2 GP margin. Blood Runes do trade pretty quickly, but that is sort of a small margin. So maybe we'll avoid that for now. We could do Maple Longbows as well. It's tricky. But Mud Runes is going to be a better trade for us. We have 1.1 million daily trades on this item. Wants us to do half a quantity of those for a 5 GP margin each, which might work out for us. No buy action on the Adamant Arrow Tips yet. We're going to move these into a different trade because it looks like the price has moved away on us. And we'll give this a refresh, see what we can do here. Not really liking a lot of these trades. Let's go ahead and change the filters on the top a little bit. Teak Logs, these will be good. They are trading for a 5 GP margin and buying for 129 GP, selling for 136. 36k profit if we can trade these half quantity here, or half buy limit, I guess is a better way to say it. And we'll let that do its thing. Coal looks like it's kind of crashed in GP a little bit, which is unfortunate. And these Griffin Feathers are not working out for us at 70 GP each, which is a shame. We'll do a 5 GP cut on those. Still going to be a profit on those, but a lot less profit than we were looking at before. 17 minutes left in the session, and I don't think we're up that much from a GP standpoint. We're up like 130, 150k or something like that. So hoping some trades come in here in the end, and if they do, we'll be in a solid spot. Just ignore the blue dragon hide. That is something I flipped before, and we don't want to calculate that in our total profit. And that is off flipping utilities here. So we can see our completed trades on FlipSmart as well. These are pretty much all the ones we've completed so far since the start of the session, excluding Dynamite. That was something I flipped prior. And yeah, we'll just wait for these trades to complete. We'll put that down. 16 minutes left. And as you wait for trades to come through, you can do things like add items to your flipping list. I always recommend people make a list of items that they love flipping on a daily basis. That's very important because when you log into RuneScape, you want to know what trades to list. You want to constantly, when you log in, just know exactly what items to look for, because it's going to save you a lot of time in the long run. If you're flipping the same things every single day, you might as well just make a gigantic list. Now, this has been a really slow day of trading. It's a pretty bad example of what flipping with 10 mil looks like, but that is all right. I'm going to continue to try and analyze for new items as well, and make sure that we're looking for decent trades, because that is important. So I'm seeing like things like oak planks we can trade, anglerfish we can trade. Those are great items, but they're a little bit out of the range that I personally like to trade. So we may or may not do those. We're getting pretty desperate here though, so maybe it makes sense to take on a little bit more risk and cancel some trades that aren't really working out for us. It's crazy that we couldn't get any luck on those cosmic runes that whole time, considering how much volume they have. So try these dragon javelin tips. 14k profit if we can trade these through. 1000 GP each. And let's go ahead and do... Well, we already did mahogany logs, so we can't really do that. But we'll find another item here as well. Oak planks we could do for an 8 GP margin. Those might flip. They might not. Look at those. 520. We'll do 522 GP. We'll list 13,000 of those. We can't. We'll do 8k. Should be enough there. And we did get the mud runes, which is great. They are selling for 130 GP. I think this was a FlipSmart flip, so it wants us to sell them for 129. It seems like that's going to be a more accurate sell price. We'll let that cook there. And the coal is kind of in an unfortunate spot. But luckily, we just cleared up another Grand Exchange slot. Thank goodness. And we'll go ahead and list another item. The bowstrings look great. We're going to make a 7k profit, flipping a tiny quantity of them. And just note that you don't have to flip a full quantity of something immediately. You can flip like half a quantity over a 4-hour period or come back later. Like flip something over an hour, you flip half the quantity, come back later, flip the other half. And when I say quantity, I'm really referring to the 4-hour buy limit. That is the limiter of how much you can trade a single item within a 4-hour window. I think most players will be familiar with 4-hour buy limits, but just in case you're not, those limits do reset after 4 hours, of course. I'm seeing the freaking name. And as soon as you buy one item, that timer starts. So, for example, if I have 10,000 mud runes listed, as soon as one buys, that 4-hour timer starts. I don't think a lot of players know that. They think it starts at the end of the last buy offer, which is not necessarily the case. Oak planks, they are actually moving away from a GP standpoint on us. Let's bump them up to be on the active margin here, which FlipSmart is telling us is 525 GP and selling for 539. That would be excellent. Coal looks like it's trading for 166 GP, so hopefully we don't have to take a loss on that. We keep it listed at 177 GP. It should sell over a longer time frame. So we'll let these things cook and do their thing. Got some mud runes selling off here. Dragon javelin tips coming in as well. We have a small quantity of those that bought. Hopefully we can sell them for a little bit higher than 812 GP would be the goal. And bowstrings, they were buying for 94 GP previously, but they seems like they have like a non-existent margin at this exact moment in time. So we'll leave that to do its thing. Again, a lot of flipping here is you don't want to like rush and cancel your trades, but it depends how much profit you're making. Like if you're not moving a lot of volume through the Grand Exchange, that's definitely a problem, and you want to maneuver your offers to make money. I'm going to try and get in on the lantern lens again. Maybe we'll have a little bit more luck on this one than we did prior. Since we only have 10 minutes left in the session, which is a little bit concerning, but I think we're at like, we're at a decent profit, at least, I guess, like 150k. is definitely low, but we do have some promising stuff coming through with the oak planks here. And we'll go ahead and list these for 538, I think is probably where we want to sell those. Yeah, and looks like FlipSmart agreed on that, which is good. I'm going to pull up the graph for coal over on the website. Yeah, it randomly crashed like as soon as we bought it, which is unfortunate, but it will give it a chance to recover as well. We don't really want to take a loss on that right now. If an item crashes on you and it's a high volume item, give it like 15-20 minutes, because most of the time it's going to come back around, it's going to make you profit, and you don't need to panic sell immediately. That's not the same story with low volume, but we'll cover that in a different video. Now the mud runes have sold off completely. I think that was a decent trade. I think we made, what, 32k on that? So for a 10 mil cash stack, that is definitely not bad. And we'll get another flip from the plugin, I think, listed here. So we'll take a look at some other items. Cooked Karambuan. I don't tend to have a lot of luck with those, but we do need some decent profit right now. So let's go ahead and buy some. I'm actually going to knock it up 1 GP. That way we have a more aggressive buy offer, and we'll sell it for 1 GP less. So we'll take a little bit off that margin, try to trade it around a 10 GP margin over FlipSmart's suggestion of a 13 GP margin. We could go back and flip another volume limit of mud runes, which might not be the worst idea. I'm just trying to see. Yeah, that's probably a good idea, because we did trade those just now. And if you're trading something that succeeds, well, you might as well keep trading it. So let's go ahead and do that. We're going to buy them for 120 GP each. And I think that's around the same price we bought. No, before we bought them at 122 GP. So the margin's actually gapped up a little bit, which is great. We're going to do 121 GP actually, because I want to be aggressive on that buy offer since we are coming up on the time limit here. And we'll just take a smaller margin for that. Zolver scales look like they have gapped up in margin as well, so that could be a decent option for us to put here. And it wants us to flip 3k of them for a 10k profit, so I guess we'll try and get that trade pushed through. And I just really like how easy FlipSmart makes it to like find new items, list items, and just get on with your flipping session. That's like something I've really enjoyed using about the tool, and considering it's in this like beta stage, it's like free right now as far as I know. They're not charging anyone at this point, so you can just easily get this plugin and try out these flips, which is awesome. Now we are flipping with 10 mil, so we're pretty limited in terms of what we can flip and our overall ROI on our flips. But you know, as long as you can learn how to trade with a smaller amount of cash, then as you scale up your cash stack, it's going to pay dividends, and you're going to be making a lot more money. And active flipping is not something like I promote too often, because it is so much different with taxes now. I always recommend players try and do overnight flipping as soon as they can, as soon as they feel comfortable. But for new players, I feel like active flipping is way more easy to understand. And you're sitting at the Grand Exchange, you're trading items back and forth. It's obvious, like it makes sense. And I think when you compare that to overnight flipping can seem a little bit ambiguous. And just doing these active trades, you start to learn how margins work, and that'll help you learn how to do overnight flips. And again, we have a bunch of overnight flipping guides if that's something that you are interested in. Now, we are trying to buy these Zolver scales, but the margin moved again, so we're just going to cancel those and move on to a different flip. These Dragonstone bolt tips over on FlipSmart, they look decent, so we'll go ahead and try and buy those. And you really just want to be on top of your trades, changing the buy and sell prices if an item's not buying, and just be on top of the stuff. The coal was selling for 173 GP, so I don't remember the margin we had on this. Maybe if we knock it down to 176. Let me see, we bought them for 171, so okay, well, that would be like not horrible if we sold them for 176, but it's not really it's not really great either way. Smaller profit. But we'll let that do its thing. We'll watch these other items where the Griffin feathers are not selling, which is a bit of a bummer. These are a lower volume item that I tried to squeeze through. But if they sell for this price, like, we actually will make some okay money on them. So that'll be good. We're up 1K profit on the oak planks already. We still have a ton more to sell, and I'm hoping they will sell. There could be some competition on this. Oak planks are like a relatively competitive item, even though they have decent volume, because they do tend to have strong margins most of the time. Let's turn around and sell these dragon javelin shafts. Let's see. I think they were going for like 828 GP the last time we looked at them. Wonder if FlipSmart thinks we can sell them for 834. I don't know how realistic that is. So, and we are coming up with only 5 minutes left on our flipping session, so 827 it might be what we have to go for. That's 2K profit. Let's try and do it 1 GP higher, 828. And yeah, we'll let these items continue to sit. We are coming up on the time for this session, though. This was actually eye-opening. I haven't flipped with 10 mil in a while, and I'm surprised that we aren't making nearly as much money as I thought we would. I thought items would trade a lot easier. I just think the flipping meta has changed a lot recently, which is, I mean, it's good and it's bad. There's new ways to trade. Some, you know, you could say it's more convenient to trade now than it was in the past. But I think this reinforces that longer time frames are really where you want to focus your time. But if you are a player that somehow stumbled upon 10 mil, maybe you bought a bond and you sold it back and you're like, how can I scale this up into more money? Flipping is not a bad option. I mean, it's a zero requirements moneymaker besides, you know, if you have membership, that is. If you're free to play, obviously you have trade restrictions until you clear those up. But if you're just someone who needs a zero requirements moneymaker, trading items on the exchange, certainly not a bad way to go. Although I'm not sure I would recommend active flipping in the current meta, because it is really not great from what we can see here. So it is a little bit rough. We did sell those dragon javelin tips, which is great. Hopefully we can squeeze in another quick flip here. I'm not sure though. Let's see. It does want us to try these amethyst crystals again. So I'll go ahead and try and flip a small quantity of that for 688 GP each. Actually modify this slightly to be a more aggressive buy offer, 689 GP. And since the margin on the Dragonstone bolt tips has moved and we're running out of time, we'll just try and sell these back as quickly as we can. Okay, this was actually 531. I tried to see if we could sell for a little bit more, but it doesn't look like it will sell for that price. Your price 121 GP. Not getting any more mud runes, unfortunately. We can knock this back up to 122. Let that buy out. We might want to start canceling trades here since we are coming up at the time limit. And I don't want to have any outstanding trades that, unless we are selling stuff, because I don't want to go over the timer here just to, you know, to make sure we keep honest to the 1 hour flipping session. But we might leave the coal to sell for 176 because it keeps climbing up. You'll notice that that instant buy price keeps going up 1 GP at a time. And we'll cancel the mud runes, I guess. Really hoping we're going to fill out some more of those. The rest we have to sell, we'll let this sit for a little bit. And we'll come back and we'll see what is sold. And we'll talk about our total profit. We let the last of our items sell over the next half hour or so, and we did have to move the price on the griffin feathers, but everything did sell, and we ended up with a total profit of 224K. To recap, we made 224K flipping for 1 hour with a 10 mil starting cash stack. Do I think that is worth it from a profit standpoint? Probably not, but if you are a new player learning how to flip, it is always recommended to start with active flipping because it teaches you so many mechanics of the economy and it really sets you on the right path for learning how to flip over longer time frames. We could have just had a bad session during this hour mark. You should be able to make 400 to 500K an hour, where it starts to become worth it if you're just flipping with a 10 mil stack. But anything less than that really is probably better to do another moneymaker that will not only progress your account, but make you more money. With that being said, let me know if you guys did enjoy this live coaching guide. I'm happy to make more in the future with larger cash stacks. I hope you guys did enjoy this video. Again, drop a like if you did enjoy, and I'll see you all in the next video.